Hello, darlings. Welcome to Saturday and day 4 of Chatuary, the Emma and Matrons feature where each day of January we upload a daily video where we just have a bit of a chat. And once again, I am doing it in the car, driving to the restaurant, driving to work, because that's the most convenient time for me, quite honestly. There's not much else I can do while I'm driving other than listen to the radio, listen to some music, and I don't seem to have much time during the days these days. There's so much going on, so yep, you're stuck with me in the car. And I had no idea what I was going to talk about tonight. Didn't have any plans. By the way, I've spent a lot of today putting the world to rights with Emma via Messenger. We've been having a good old chinwag catch up. And so I haven't really thought about what I was going to chat about tonight. Now, she said, oh, don't worry about it, just do what you normally do and chat a load of drivel about work and all of this. It's not like you're ever stuck for words, is it? And she's kind of got a point, but there is something that I've decided I am going to talk about, rather unexpectedly, for a couple of reasons. One is that on a live stream the other night, I was asked a Hedgehog of Truth question. Well, I think it was like a couple of questions within a question sort of thing. Do I have a girlfriend? Do I... if I don't have a girlfriend, do I have one in mind? Or I think the phrase was lined up or something like that. And do I kind of use the restaurant as a real life dating app? As in, do I check out the customers and ice again, and kind of filter through the customers for potential girlfriends? And I can't remember exactly. Oh, bloody hell, this is still... Oh, a quick note on the weather. The weather hasn't landed yet. It's due to land tonight. Heavy snow has been forecast, and if you look at the... I don't know. I think it's due to start about 8 o'clock, and then it's going to be at its heaviest overnight. So we might be driving to work tomorrow, darlings, in a very different scenario indeed. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the questions on the live stream. And also, Caroline, one of our community channels, she talked about dating in a recent video of hers. And Emma and I were talking about such things today. So I thought I might discuss that. Kind of dating in middle age, dating in later life, that sort of thing. And I suppose specifically how it relates to me. Oh, hell. Oh, whoever... Oh, God, I'm terrible at remembering names. Somebody shouted at me on last night's live stream for my windscreen needing cleaning inside and out, and yes, it almost certainly does. I mean, I'll wash it for you. And I probably should clean the inside as well. So, where to start with all of that shenanigans? Well, hold on. So, back to the questions, I guess. Do I have a girlfriend? Well, that's quite a simple answer. No, I don't. I worked out on the live stream last night that I have now been single for 3 years and some months. It was, I split up with Chinese Madam in September of, God, what year would it have been? Hold on. September of 2021. Doesn't time bloody fly? Doesn't time fly? Ugh. Right, we better be careful down here. So yeah, I've been single without a girlfriend for whatever that time is, 3 years, 5 months, something like that. That's a really awkward place to stop there, mate. Maybe it's not your own choice. Have you broken down or something? Right, what's it like going around here? Oh, not too bad. Not too bad tonight. So, during that 3 years and whatever the hell it is, oh, who's counting? Have I been dating? Well, not really. Now, immediately after Chinese Madam, not immediately after as in the next day or something like that, but, you know, shortly thereafter, I had a date, which you all know about because I made a video about it. That's number 2 in my Rediscovering My Homeland series, and that was telling the story of that date. And then after that date with Bernard, there was another date where we had a night in Chester, and another date where we went to the pictures at Halloween, and then that was that. Then in the January, so 3 years ago to the month, I went on a lunch date with somebody originally from Singles, you know, my Singles network community thing, who I'd become friends with on Facebook, and we went on a date, and she was rather lovely and all of that sort of thing. Still friends. And so that was the last date. So it is 3 years. 3 years. I can't remember what day it was, but 3 years to the month since I last went on a date. Have I been trying to date? No, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. When I think back, there's not been many periods in my life when I've been properly single. You know, I've had relationships, as we all have. I've had a marriage, I've had some engagements, I've had, you know, serious relationships, and whether it's through intent or circumstance, there was never much gap in between relationships, really. Now, I don't know whether that's because I was an incredibly needy man and didn't feel complete without a woman. I don't think it was that. Because I'm somebody who's always been happy with their own company. I was an only child for most of my childhood. I was 4 years old when the last of my siblings coughed it, and I was last man standing. And I've got an active mind and fertile imagination, and I'm alright with my own company. Always have been. I spent a lot of my childhood alone, not in a bad way, not in a locked up in my bedroom or locked up in the cellar way. Oh, you know, I trained alone most of the time. 6 days out of 7, I trained alone. It's only one day that I would train in company, and I enjoyed that time. I enjoyed the great outdoors. I enjoyed all of the sensations of riding a bicycle quickly, and I enjoyed my own company. One of my friends had a phrase for the thoughts that go on in your head, and he called it the skull cinema, which I thought was a really good phrase for it. And I've always had a very active skull cinema. I've got no problem pootling along on my own, whatever I'm doing, and all sorts of things things will be going around my mind. Many of them partially, if not completely, ludicrous. And I will happily sing silly songs to myself, sometimes out loud, which means that people look at me somewhat strangely in supermarkets. I don't care. I don't care. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the last 3 years I have not actively been trying to date. I'm not on any dating apps, and I haven't been on any dating apps, and yeah, I've just not been doing it. And I think the year I had with Chinese Madam was rather intense. The time I had with Boo was quite intense. Then there was the whole marriage and divorce thing, all of that. And I didn't make a conscious decision, but I think that subconsciously I decided to spend some time gathering my thoughts together and discovering or rediscovering who I am as myself, rather than who I am in the perception of others. When you're in a relationship, it's all too easy to accept that you are the person that the other person says you are, and you might not be. They might be fucked up in various ways, and they blame you for their fucked upness, and you think, well, I'm a terrible man, they're fucked up and it's my fault. And you know, I'm not necessarily talking about me or any of my exes. In fact, I'm not, but I've seen it in other people, you know. And you become the person that you are as a reflection of other people. And I thought it might be quite interesting to find out who I am when it's just me, when there's nobody else involved, and the kind of life that I would lead. Hang on a minute. Where's that gone? Yeah, and I thought it might be interesting to find out the life that I would lead when I could be selfish. This is going to sound weird, but most of my adult life I've been an unselfish man. Not particularly blowing my own trumpet, but the majority of relationships that I've been in, there have been children involved. And that, oh God, that, if that sounded dodgy. Right, the majority of relationships that I've been in have been with single mothers. Right, that sounds a bit less dodgy, doesn't it? I wish I'd said it that way first time round. Maybe I should edit this. And when there are children involved, that means two things. If you're the chap, the first thing it means is you have to accept that you will never be your girlfriend or partner's number one priority. Her number one priority, quite rightly, is always going to be the children. And if you're going to have a relationship with a mother, you've got to accept that, and you've got to genuinely be okay with that. And the other thing it means is that to some extent, you are going to be kind of in loco parentis. You're going to be some sort of, oh, how do you put it? You're going to be a male figure in the children's life. And there's a couple of things involved with that. The one is that, and this is going into me turning into advising people on how to, oh, it's not for me to give advice, but if I were to give advice, it would be, don't ever try and be their father. They've got a father. I certainly never did. I raised children, co-raised them, whatever you want to call it. I never tried to be their dad. They had a dad. I tried to be their friend, and I tried to be a good role model in life, generally. Now, I have had stepdad relationships, but that's kind of through, that's not like me saying, right, I'm your stepdad now, so treat me that way. That's just what they wanted. That's the way that it developed, and I was cool with that. I was actually very honoured. I remember when I first got together with the artist formerly known as Mrs. Boaty, who had 4 children. People used to say to me, they're lucky that you took them on. And I always said, no. I'm lucky that they took me on. And that was the way I genuinely felt about it. So yeah, I'm trying to get back to my original train of thought here. So you're never going to be the number one priority. The kids have got to come first. But that also means that the kids have got to come first for you as well. And I always lived like that. So throughout my adult life, when I've been in that situation, and I had a very long-term relationship where, which was a relationship and a marriage and whatnot, and children were raised, and the whole thing. The youngest was like really quite young when I came along, and so there was the whole thing. There was school, the unsuitable first boyfriends, university, all of that sort of thing. All of the normal. I'm sure you were all familiar with the stuff that I'm talking about. And they were always my number one priority. So I lived my life around them. And it occurred to me, not immediately, but it occurred to me at some point during the last 3 years of being single, that it's probably the first time in my life where for an extended period of time I can be entirely selfish. I can live my own life on my own terms. I can make all of my own choices, and there's nobody else involved. Now, I'm not saying, I've had a terrible life. I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that. It was all my choice. I loved it. It was a privilege. It was an honour. I wouldn't change it for the world. But these last 3 years have been interesting because I had no idea. I didn't think about it consciously, but if I had have done, I would have had no idea how these 3 years were going to pan out. I simply wouldn't have known. And it has been genuinely interesting and life-enhancing and formative and actually bloody wonderful. Now, it's no accident that 3 years ago to the week, I did my first YouTube video. It was New Year's Day 2022. So I've now been YouTubing technically for 3 years. Now, I didn't take it seriously in any way, shape or form to begin with. I didn't plan on uploading that first video. It's about a 25-second video. It's an absolute, meaningless, nothing whatsoever. And I just uploaded a couple more here, and gradually I just became, I just got addicted to it. And then because I'm super competitive, I tried to get a little bit better at it, all of that kind of thing. And it's no accident. Well, it is an accident because I didn't plan to do it. But I would never have done that at any other time of my life. Now I look at it. Because I would never have had the time. I consider that unless you're doing it together as a family or something like that, I think that YouTubing can be quite I was going to say it can be a selfish thing, but no, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. How can I put it? Right, I wouldn't have done it, I think, because it would be exclusive. Now, I am idiotically open about my life. I do all on YouTube. I do all of the things that you shouldn't do. I make no secret of where I live. Everybody knows where I live. I'm hideously indiscreet about my own life and whatnot, but I've got nobody to protect. Now, if I was back in a situation where I had a family, then I would be like everybody else. It would, where I lived, where we lived, would be a big secret. I wouldn't include the kids necessarily in videos. I'd be a lot more circumspect, as you should be. And if you're doing that would mean that YouTubing, my kind of YouTubing, if you're doing it like family outings, that kind of thing, then that's fine. But the kind of YouTubing I do is would be quite exclusive. In other words, it would mean me being on my own, doing a live stream or doing whatever. And there's no way I would ever have done that when I had a family, because that would be taking time away from the family, and I would never have done that. I loved my time with the family. The kids were like my mates. I liked hanging out with them. Same with my partners. They were, we might have been partners or husband and wife or fiancés or whatever, but there was always a friendship. If I wasn't friends with somebody, there's no way I'd be in a relationship with them. So, the people that you like hanging out with. So I don't think this would have happened at any other point in my life. But that leads on to something else. It's that, and this is going back to finding out who I really am. And it's been a little bit surprising, because I always thought that I had the potential to be, really quite selfish and egocentric and kind of narcissistic and all of that. And there probably are elements. I don't believe that any of those things are black and white. I don't believe that something like egotism or narcissistic personality disorder or anything like that, I don't think they're black and white things. I think that they're spectrums. I think virtually everything in life is a spectrum, and everybody's on it, and some people are just further up it than other people, or you slide up and down it depending on your circumstances, that kind of thing. God, I'm wibbling away, aren't I? Dear oh dear. No wonder I'm losing thousands of subscribers putting out content like this. But it turns out that I'm not as selfish as I thought I was, because my drive throughout the last 3 years has been to build a community, and not entirely for my own benefit, but for the benefit of the community as a whole. Yeah, I benefit from it. I benefit massively from being a part of it. No question about that. But, there is an element of altruism in there, and that surprised me. So I've thought about other people a lot more than I thought I would. I've discovered that I have ambitions left in life. I didn't think I had. I thought that I'd been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and, that was that. Turns out, left to my own devices, I do have some ambitions left in life. But I think the main thing to take from all of this is that this last 3 years, I have had the most fabulous time. The most fabulous time. It's been brilliant. I've loved it. YouTube has been a massive part of it, and through that, and through my circumstances allowing it, I've been able to do really amazing things. Well, I think they're amazing. Anyway, I found a new best friend in Mustard. Shenanigans at the yard, lunch videos, meeting up with people in the community, the amazing summer me and Emma had, all of these really fabulous things. And I've fallen back in love with my home. Now that my home is just me, I've reconnected with it. I'm talking about Windy Bum. And I've done things with it, and I've improved it, and I've made it more my own space rather than it being a shared space. It's become more of a reflection of me and my likes and thoughts and personality and preferences. Greetings, Honourable Bridge. And so I'll try and get this back to the dating and finding love thing where I started. Dear me, I've got a mind like a dropped hose. You know when a hose is on full pelt and you drop it and it just wiggles around on the floor and you can't control it? That's what my mind is like, darlings. So I've had this amazing time, still having an amazing time, and I've not been looking to date. Not been thinking about it, not been looking for it, not making any efforts in that direction. I've just been having a pretty fabulous time. Now I have mentioned a couple of times relatively recently that that's kind of starting to change a bit now. There are many aspects of my life now that not only would I be comfortable sharing, but I would genuinely love to share. There are pleasures that are better shared. All of the things that I'm loving doing, I've now started to think I'd love to do these things with, a special other, whatever you want to call it. Seems weird talking about girlfriends when you're in your bloody 50s, but you know what I mean. So I'm in a weird place now where, I would rather like to date. And when I say that, I don't mean dating like I used to do it in the old days. My method for dating was this. I would go on an app or a website or whatever and pick out, chat with a few people and pick out the best prospect, and sooner rather than later, within a couple of days, go out on a date. If that worked, great, you went on another date. If it didn't, I'd move on to the next one and go on a date with them. I've never been a numbers man. I've never cheated, never been unfaithful, nothing like that. But when it came to dating, I always thought, well, it's a numbers game. And, this idea that because you're talking to somebody, not in real life, but this idea that you can only talk to one person in private at a time, I always thought that was nonsense, absolute nonsense. Chat to loads of people, meet up with them. Now, if you're going to have a second date, by all means, at that point, make it an exclusive thing, but not before then. And that was the way that I always used to do it. And, there would be weeks where I'd go on 5-6 dates per week. So when I talk about dating now, I don't mean that. God knows I don't mean that. I haven't got the bloody energy or the inclination. Now, when I say dating, I don't mean going on multiple dates with multiple people, or even trying to find multiple dates with multiple people. I mean dating as in having a girlfriend that you do stuff with, if you know what I mean. I would like that in my life now. I've had my time finding out who I am, finding out what's important to me, finding out what I like, blah blah blah. I've had a fantastic time. My life is wonderful now. I'm delighted with it. I'd like a girlfriend to share bits of it with. Well, share all of it with, I suppose. However, and this is where it gets tricky, I'm not willing to give anything up. I'm willing to share, I'm not willing to give anything up. So that means that if you're going to have a relationship, you've got to be bloody careful who you have it with, because if you are a YouTubist and you're in the habit of filming everything and sharing pretty much every aspect of your life, then you're going to have a girlfriend who's okay with that, who probably would need to be part of it. Otherwise, ain't really going to work, is it? So, perfect example of that is look at Hubner and Carly, Ian and Carly. It works for them. They do it together. It arguably enhances the channel, and it's a shared hobby for them, blah blah blah. Works out fine. Imagine trying to do it with somebody who wasn't into YouTube, who didn't want to appear on film. They're just going to be, it would ruin everything, wouldn't it? Because you wouldn't be able to freely film your life as you do now, or I wouldn't be able to. It would just create so many difficulties. The community is another thing. I give a lot of my time to the community. I do the live streams on a nightly basis. I do all of the stuff in the Facebook group. There's going to be much more coming this year as well. So a girlfriend would have to be on board with all of that, and not just understanding of it. Again, ideally they'd need to be a part of it. Otherwise, it's going to become a selfish thing. It's not going to be a shared thing. Other stuff like friendships. I would need somebody that was okay with me and Emma doing stuff, or me and Mustard doing stuff, or me and whoever, So that's the point, I think, that whilst I'm willing, and well, not just willing, whilst I would actively like to share my life with a girlfriend type person, I'm also very protective of the life that I have now, and I wouldn't want to risk losing it by being in a relationship with the wrong person. And I don't mean that they're the wrong person as in there's something wrong with them or something like that. I just mean that they wouldn't fit into my life such as it is. And that means that you're looking in a much smaller pot. So, God, I've been rattling for about, God knows how long. Probably been rattling away for half an hour, haven't I? So, does any of this make any sense? Almost certainly not. What the hell, it's Chatuary. These are going to be the least popular videos ever. These are going to do the same numbers that my, what did I call them? My, I can't remember what I called them. My Boaty's Noshes. These are going to be about as popular as my Boaty's Noshes videos, which used to do about 20 odd views each. Spectacularly unsuccessful. And these Chatuary videos are going the same way. So to sum up half an hour of nonsense, yeah, I'm now in a place where I would love to date, but it would have to be with very much the right person, and that really means that it's a much smaller pot that you're looking in. I mean, there's all of the normal stuff when it comes to finding a girlfriend or boyfriend type thing. They've got to be, non-murderous. It would be nice if they didn't smell too badly. I suppose it would help if they had a sense of humour and some element of personality. If you didn't find them utterly repulsive, that would be a plus. But then when you throw in everything else as well, all the stuff that I've been talking about, the compatibility in terms of the social stuff and lifestyle stuff and all of that, it means you're looking in a much smaller pot. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible. Bloody hell. I could have just said that at the beginning and saved us all half an hour of crap. So there you go. That is my answer to the question that was asked on the live stream, and a number of other questions that haven't been asked anywhere and that nobody wanted to know the answers to. Yeah, I'd like a girlfriend, but yeah, I am protective of the life that I have, which I love. And now I'm at work. Dear God. Right, well, could be interesting in the morning. Good night, my lovelies. Stay safe, stay warm, take care. Much love from me. See you next time.